Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is the Our Turf Football Podcast. I'm Dana. You have Kate. You have Lisa. We are all here to chat with you today. Before we get started, we, of course, want to thank our sponsor, our 5th year with Donkey's Place Cheesesteaks, 3 locations in New Jersey, Medford, Mount Holly, and Camden. Of course, you can go to goldbelly.com. You type in Donkey's Place Cheesesteaks, and they will send it right to your home. We do it every year. It's so fun. It's so delicious. And if you guys happen to be in New Jersey, in one of those towns, swing by, ask for Manver, pretend you're Karen, and just say, hey, we heard about you guys on Our Turf Football. We would greatly. So it'll be fun. All right. So huge thanks to them for sponsoring us for so many years now, which is why you guys get to watch this without commercials, which is the whole point of the thing, right? So we also want to say, if you are watching over on Twitter, over on Blue Sky, on Facebook, come over to the YouTube channel, because I got a conversation for later that I know some of y'all are going to want to chime in on. And we have a live chat room that we take comments from, we take questions. If you have opinions, we want to hear it, we will post those. So please come on over to the YouTube channel, make sure you like and subscribe, and then you'll know when we go live. First, before we get started with all of the training camp news, we're very excited to announce that Kate, once again, will be going to the Hall of Fame to cover that for us again this year. So excited. Kate has been doing that for us for years. I went one year, kind of shared it there for a while, but you're so close. It just makes sense that you go, and you really enjoy that.
You know, I do. And I think that was like the first year that we all met in person back in the old NFL female days. And I remember whatever year it was, there were also Olympics going on, because we were watching the Olympic opening ceremonies.
That's right.
You're right. We had rented a house through Airbnb, and I think there were like 24 of us that were there. And Russell Baxter stopped by. So he was the only dude with all those women, and we were just a bunch of girls talking football with a bunch of other girls, and it was just so cool. And so, you know, felt like a sisterhood. And it just, you know, we've, I think, gotten obviously so much closer because we're doing Our Turf now. Still friends with, you know, friends of the show. Wanda is one of them who's still around. She loves Wanda. Yeah. But yeah, I'm in Cleveland, so heading down to Canton is super easy. It feels so early this year. It just, I don't know where the summer has gone. And it has been 94 with the heat index of 104 over the weekend. So it's been cooking here in Cleveland, and Canton's about 45 minutes south of us. So I'm sure it's going to be even warmer. Can't wait for that. We have the Hall of Fame game on Thursday night. The
already
Los Angeles Chargers versus the Detroit Lions.
Kind of. Practice squats. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I think the over-under on how many actual starters will play is 2, and that's for both teams.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe their kickers are the only ones that we may see out
just
on the
for
field.
Lisa.
Yeah. And then on Saturday at 1:00 is the actual enshrinement ceremony. Friday night, they have a gold jacket dinner, which if you ever come to the Hall of Fame for this kind of this festival week and that, and they're a little pricey, but if you can get tickets to that gold jacket dinner, the emotions from these men when they're being presented with their gold jackets is insane. It's a different level than what you see on the stage when they get their gold bust on Saturday. And this year, you know, part of the reason why they do this at 1:00 is they used to do this at like 6:00 at night. And you had 7, 8 guys, and we were there until after midnight. I think the year Kurt Warner got in, I went, and there was a third of the people left in the stadium because it was getting late and kids were getting tired. So I think moving it to 1:00 is great. And this year, with there only being 4, we have 3 regular era players and 1 that the senior committee voted on. So there's only 4. So it'll be a nice, quick enshrinement, and you'll have a lot of opportunities to see the guys this week and over the weekend. My favorite candidate in the hall every year is the one that comes from the senior committee. I learned to love football from my dad, and he loved those players. And I'm feeling some kind of way about this year about Sterling Sharp, because I remember when he played from 88 to 94. Like It was 25 years ago. And I can't deal with the fact that he's considered I'm used to it being, these guys that played in the 50s and 60s that are, my dad's age and older. And now it's people that are my age that are the senior committee member. He played for the Green Bay Packers all those years. It's been a long time coming. His brother Shannon is the one who knocked on his door and told him he was getting in the Hall. If you can find it, there's clips on YouTube of him getting him in. In just his second season in the NFL, he led the league with 90 receptions as a wide receiver. I mean, that's probably not as big a deal now as it was then. He set the record in 1992 for most catches in a season, bumped that up to 108. And then the next year broke his own record at 112. He had over 1,000 receiving yards 5 times. He had some decent quarterbacks and some decent teammates during all of those years, but he was selected to 5 Pro Bowls, was first team All-Pro 3 times, and is a member of the NFL's all-decade team for the 90s. So, I mean, Sterling Sharp to me was a no-brainer. I'm so glad that he got in. And then the other, I don't know if you want, Lisa, do you want to do one of the guys, or do you want me to just go ahead and do both of mine?
Well, that's fine. I do want to hit on the Sterling Sharp thing. With him, he reminds me so much when you used to watch him, when we all used to watch him, of Jerry Rice, with just going out there and just playing football. He wasn't a diva, he just went and played football. And to me, he's like one of these lasting receivers that has done that. Now we're just getting away from it. And one of the other players that has stayed with the team so long. Now we're seeing players 4 or 5 years going with teams. So it's nice to see him get recognition for the years that he played with the team, and he deserves it. So
yeah, that was something else I noticed, is his entire career was at Green Bay. And you don't see that today, especially not with wide receivers.
Didn't I read somewhere too? Are they the first set of brothers to get in?
I believe so. Yes. Now that he's in.
Yeah. With Shannon, I think they're the first set. Lots of father sons.
Yes.
But we didn't have any. Yeah. Brothers. That's
any
great.
The brothers, the Matthew brothers, aren't they in there?
No.
Clay isn't. Oh.
Clay's not in yet. He was in this year. Eli was eligible this year and did not get in.
Okay.
It'll be a couple years. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay. All right.
And I think, to finish up with Sterling, he went to South Carolina. And I think maybe that's part of why you don't see as much diva attitude. He didn't go one of those big schools that we talk about all the time. And that, Jared Allen, defensive end, so I'm going to talk about next, from Idaho State. Maybe the first Jared Allen into the Hall, depending on how things go. Maybe just the first of what could be 3, because there are 2 in the league now. Very popular name, right? He went to Idaho State. I don't know. When I think football, I don't know that Idaho State comes to my top of my list. He managed as a defensive end to stay in the league for 12 years. He was drafted by the Chiefs, was there for 4 seasons, was with the Vikings for 5, then spent a couple years with the Bears, finished up in 2015 with the Panthers. I'll be interested to see when I get there which uniform. All the photos they've been putting out there have him in his Vikings uniform.
Yeah.
So I will be very interested to see which one he picks to have. They do like a little locker with memorabilia from them, and then they're enshrined with one team as like the predominant team they want to be known for. So it'll be very interesting to see it. He's not a player, frankly, that I knew a lot about. He's not a big name. He's not someone where I'm like, oh, of course he's getting in. He won the Buckingham Award and the Big Sky Conference Defensive Player of the Year when he was at Idaho State. Those are big deals in those conferences.
Yeah.
He was a 4th-round pick to the Chiefs. He started 181 out of games. Like that alone, when we see the injuries that we've seen just this week at training camp, for him to have played in that many games, was a part of the NFC Championship team for the Carolina Panthers in his last year. He started in Super Bowl 50. He had a tackle and a hit on the had a hit on the QB. I got a half a sack for that one. But he led the NFL in sacks twice, in 2007 and in 2011. He was the MVP for the Chiefs in 2007. So Chiefs fans, this is all pre-Mahomes. There were other players in Kansas City that did well. He was the NFL Alumni's Player of the Year in 2009. His career stats aren't, crazy. It's 6 interceptions. He had 1 fumble recovery for a TD, but he has tied the NFL record for the most career safeties with 4.
Mm-hmm.
He's solely responsible for 4 safeties, and that's a big deal. And was also first team All Pro Bowl in 7, 8, 9, and then again in 11. Just a very solid career. And I think maybe that the lack of injury is really what stands out to me. He was a high quality player with a ton of talent who managed to stay healthy and be available to his teams during that 12-year stretch. And that's huge when we look at guys that are playing now.
So for me, I knew all about Jared Allen. Of course I did, right?
Yes,
Big Sky Conference. That's my Montana State Bobcats, right? It's where I am right now. That's why it looks so different. I'm in Montana right now. But yeah, I knew Jared Allen, but I also knew Jared Allen because I'm a defense lover, right? And that consistency and that solidness from him was always huge, right? And so it's funny you say, oh, it wasn't a name that rang a bell. It was the one that jumped out to me, right? And so it's just as how you see it. But it is funny, we were talking and Big Red has a question here, which I think is really good. He says, are the busts done with a particular team in mind if they played for more than one team? The answer is no. In the NFL, you don't retire a team. Now, a team can retire like your number and all that thing, but in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you go in, it's just a bust of you. And then it lists the teams that you played for underneath. I think, though, you're right. Most people think of him as a Viking. It's like, yeah,
I do.
Kansas City was there for 3 years, but he's not a name that I hear when I'm home in Kansas City. People think of him in that Vikings uniform. I just think that that's probably what you're going to see a lot of. I think it's really good.
So, I mean, you're right. The bust is just, you can see the lapels of like a jacket and it's just the bust, but they do have exhibits in the hall that they'll have all year now with these enshrinees. And like I said, it looks like a locker and they'll have some shoes and some uniforms and helmets and a bunch of, little fun fact things hanging up. And so, like I said, I'm curious to see which one they'll have hanging up there. I'll get some pictures Saturday and post those. But you're right. It's not, you don't go into the hall as a member of this pro team. You go in at your position and then you're right. They list all the teams that he's played for.
Yeah.
Can you have memorabilia from both teams? Can you have 2 jerseys?
Probably.
You can. We'll see if he does. I'm trying to think of somebody a couple years ago had 2 jerseys hanging up, and I can't remember who it was.
Because some of them now, like you said, some of them are coming out doing their rookie contracts and stuff and then moving on. And I think we're going to see that as we get further down the line. But, it seems like with this class that we're doing here, it seemed like everybody kind of stayed put, which, we'll talk
pretty
about.
Pretty close.
When we get to Gates and stuff. So.
Well, let's go ahead and start with him. Like we said, there's only 4 enshrinees this year, which is interesting. We were talking about before how that number's so low, and it is the fewest enshrinees since 2005. They are allowed to do it. They just have been, I almost feel like they've been playing catch up the last few years. Like you said, the couple of years there was like, I think when Walter Jones got in, I think there was 7 people that year. It was like, it went on forever. And so I think that they, this year though, they pulled it back a little bit. And I know, and Kristen asked about Eli missing, is it a surprise? Our quarterbacks that win Super Bowls usually first ballot. We're going to talk about that because I think we're coming up on a very interesting crux when it comes to football or quarterbacks here pretty soon. So I promise you, Kristen, we will get to that here in just a little bit. So go ahead, Lisa. I know that you have the other two, two players.
Yeah, I got Gate and Antonio Gates is one. When you look at his number, he's another one that I kind of think when you think with Jared Allen. He's like kind of the forgotten guy, it's like you look, he played 16 years with the San Diego Chargers, one team, undrafted out of Kent State. This guy, his basketball, he was all about basketball. He was, when you hear the early things about him and stuff like that. And it's the big thing now. He turned why a lot of teams went to tight ends because of the basketballs, the tallness, getting into the end zone. When you look at him and you look at Tony Gonzalez's numbers, he right now holds the record for touchdowns for a wide receiver still in history, which is 116. Tony Gonzalez had 111. So he's beating in him. Tony's got him a little bit in yardage and stuff like that, but he's right up there with Tony Gonzalez, who's better known as one of the best, tight ends in football. He was an 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first team All-Pro, 2-time second team All-Pro. He made the NFL 2000 All-Decade team, and the San Diego Chargers 50th anniversary team, and also the Los Angeles Chargers Hall of Fame. So when you look at Antonio Gates, to me, I think Tony Gonzalez second. I mean, I'm like, dang, when you look at the numbers and what he's done for his team, that's a long time to be with one team. And just like I said, but I didn't think about him with the Hall of Fame. And so when you start looking at the numbers, it's amazing. The numbers that this guy and consistency, when you look at his stats from year to year, like I did, very consistent. I mean, this guy, 12.4 yards of average per 16 years.
Yeah, that's insane. That number's huge.
For me, as soon as I saw his name, my head went to fantasy football.
Okay.
And you were trying to get Gonzalez or Gates. Like, there were 2 tight ends. And after that, you didn't care because there was nobody else worth getting. And so once Gonzalez was in, I'm like, all right, it's only a matter of time before Gates, because you're right. Their stats are so parallel. I think Gonzalez was on better teams. So maybe that's why he got the edge and got in first. But as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, these are my early fantasy football days.
Yeah. My favorite part about Antonio Gates is he really did become the face of that franchise. They had Phillip Rivers, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, but it was Antonio Gates that the fans just clung to because he was so consistent. He was so good. Most fascinating. The best thing about this whole story for me with him is that he was undrafted. He was an undrafted player. And so I think about that every once in a while, those really great players that were undrafted, and to know that there is a ton of talent out there that isn't always picked in those, in those 7 rounds. So it's interesting. So I see Big Red asked about who was inducting them into the Hall of Fame. I have that list. We'll give that to you when we're done with our last one. And then someone asked about only having, let's see. Who was that? Big Red asked, with only having 4 inductees, should we expect longer speeches? Stephen, you're the best. Much longer, because they need to fill those 2 to 3 hours because of commercials. You're not wrong. So very well done. So, all right. And then our last player being inducted this year, 19 years of eligibility. God love 19. That. It's Eric Allen.
I lost my notes on his stats. Hold on one second.
No, okay, no worries. I got you.
You got
Eric. I got him right here. You bet. So
54
Eric
interceptions.
Allen,
the only thing I got right there. I know that
he's a cornerback. He played for the Eagles, for the Saints, and for the Raiders. He played from 88 to 2001. He is the senior inductee. He was drafted in the 2nd round, 30th overall. It was interesting. 19. He was a finalist. This was his 2nd time, but 19 years of eligibility. Sometimes I think this means more. Don't you? Like when they can get in like that.
I do.
So he was so great. He had he was on the PFWA's all rookie team his rookie year. He followed up with 8 interception season in 1989. People, we got this. And then he was first team All Pro. It was on the Pro Bowl. He intercepted at least 3 passes in each of his first 7 seasons and 10 times in his 14-year career. I mean, this guy was just fantastic. The quarterback play has changed so much in the NFL. I like to go back and kind of watch these guys sometimes in the way they used to play the position. And it was fascinating, but you can see why some of these numbers he would get. So he led or shared the lead in interceptions 7 times, 4 times with the Eagles, 3 with the Raiders. He had 54 interceptions overall, returned 8 interceptions for touchdowns, 6 Pro Bowls. And then he was named to the Eagles' 75th anniversary team and then inducted into their Hall of Fame in 2011. This guy is a big deal for Eagles fan. I think that's probably where he's most noted from. And so super, super excited for him in order to get in.
Yeah, he was a part of the gangrene. Gangrene.
I know.
The gangrene. So
You guys got to look at these defenses, man. They're so good.
And one of the notes that I did when I was looking at him, one of the things that stands out with him was when he got his hands on the ball, he was a scoring machine. You want to talk about pick six and a guy that was hard to bring down. That's this kid. I mean, I can't think right now off the top of my head cornerbacks that there are if they're just if they cut in front. But I mean, he'd outrun a whole defense half the time watching some of the highlights on him, which I did. I mean, when he got his hand on the ball, he was trouble.
Yeah. It was so good. Yeah. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to all four of them. I mean, that's to be such a small class, they're kind of a small little band of brothers there. So that'll be great. Now to answer Big Red's question about who's inducting. So a college teammate of Eric Allen's named Randall McDaniel is going to be his, I'm sorry. This is who delivered the news. I don't know. I don't think I have who.
Sometimes we don't know who's going to.
We don't know. I know.
Somebody will introduce them Friday night to give them their gold jacket.
Yeah.
And then someone else will do like the introductory video montage for Saturday. So we may not know until those actually happen.
That's true. I can almost guarantee Shannon will probably do Sterling's. I think that's probably pretty logical. And then LaDainian Tomlinson told Antonio Gates, if you've not seen that video, it'll get you. I'm telling you, it'll get you. So very excited for these guys. I think that it is, it's going to be a good weekend. But yes, we've all said there's going to be a football game on Thursday. And I know that it is going to be, the backups and all that stuff. But isn't that what you want? Fans of the Chargers and fans of the Lions, don't you want to go in and see how your depth looks? That's how I look at it. It's going to be crack football. But it'll be interesting to see who starts to stick out. So I'm really excited about that. The sad thing is I have a concert I'm going to that night. And so I'm going to miss part of it. That's good. I'm going to watch it. I know. Oh, it's crazy. So, all right. So
before we go to Philip, I just need to share that there are more awards being given out this weekend than just the Hall of Fame enshrinement. The Pro Football Writers of America do the Bill Nunn Memorial Award every year. And this year it goes to Mary Kay Cabot. She's only the second woman to get it. She's also the second full-time beat writer for the Cleveland newspaper, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, to win it. Chuck Heaton won it back in the day, but his parents owned the paper. His sister, Pat Heaton, was on Everybody Loves Raymond, played his wife. She's an actress. So Mary Kay is going to get this. And I think you're going to you always see a lot of Cleveland fans there because it's so close for us. And this year, even without having a player, the fact that she is one of the most respected writers and just people that cover the Browns in this town, regardless of the fact that they're women, because this town isn't really nice to women that try to cover sports. And yet they all respect Mary Kay. She does a great job. And I just wanted to give that a shout out.
Huge kudos to her.
Do that this weekend as well.
Yeah, she's been a great friend of ours for a long time, and a good friend of yours.
I got to hang out with Mary Kay at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah,
and we talked about Miles. Yeah, we talked about Miles Garrett.
Everywhere she goes.
Yeah, and she was one who told me that he wasn't going anywhere. Because that was the midst
I don't want
rumors
to talk
that
about
he
it.
was gone.
Hurts my heart still, Lisa.
I know. Because it looked like he was a goner. Like 98%, but people were like, he's out of here. She was like, no.
He would have looked so good in blue.
Yeah.
Disgusting. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about training camp and some of the injuries that have come through. Of course, it happens every year, but already there's a couple big names I know. Lots of now I'm not going to get to everyone. These are kind of like the highlights. All right. But there's a couple that caused a little bit of a ruckus, turned out to not be that big of a deal. Justin Fields dislocated his toe. Everyone had a meltdown. Oh my God, it was no big deal. It looks like he's going to be just fine. One that is a little more interesting, and I think people are following a little more closely, is Matt Stafford and the fact that he hasn't been practicing due to a back injury. A back injury plus being 37 years old has to make people nervous, but McVay keeps insisting, he'll be fine. And he's fine. He's totally fine. He's fine. He's 37 with a back injury. Anyway, I'm just going to say that. We'll see what happens. Their ultimate goal for him is to be ready for week 1. So I know he doesn't need the practice, so he's fine. Another one that's given people some concern, we have Justin Jefferson. has a hamstring injury. He was sidelined in early portions of training camp. He seems to be doing okay. People aren't too panicked about it. 26 years old, obviously one of the best players out there right now. And this would have huge impact on fantasy too, because I know he's traditionally the number 1 overall pick. So that'll be interesting. This one came out today. People are a little nervous. Isaiah Likely, tight end for Baltimore, ankle injury, came down funny after going up for a ball. He'll undergo an MRI. They're going to look at it tomorrow. It's going to be at least a few weeks. Now, I will tell you, as being a Seahawks fan, if Pete Carroll ever said, oh, it's going to be a couple weeks, 3 months minimum, because Pete always underscores those things, right? And so, but I think Harbaugh's probably a little more legit. He says it'll be a few weeks, but he should be on track for week 1. Christian Gonzalez, a cornerback for New England. He has a hamstring injury, lots of tight hamstrings. We'll see what happens there. We'll see how he goes. They're not overly worried about that. Then you have Atlanta wide receiver Darnell Mooney. He has a shoulder injury. He's expected to be out for a couple of weeks. They don't know about week 1. They'll figure that out. This one is the one that a lot of people went, oh, Joe Mixon, running back for Houston, foot injury. Apparently this has been something that's been going on for a while. He's expected to miss extended time. That cannot make people excited about that at all. He will miss all of the preseason and probably won't be ready to start the season. This one hurt that Tampa Bay fans. Christian Wirfs, offensive tackle. He underwent surgery on his right knee. He's going to miss the start of the season. It's going to be a while. We'll see what happens there. This one also was not good. Walter Nolan, defensive tackle for Arizona, fantastic player. He's been put on PUP for a calf injury that happened during the off season. So if it's still lingering that bad, we'll see. They said they have no idea how long he'll be out for. This one made me sadly sad because I love Artie Burns. Artie Burns played for Seattle and I liked him. Artie Burns, cornerback for Miami, tore his ACL.
Season.
Sucks so bad.
And now then our other one went down the other day. Cater Kenna, he went down. And one thing that I do want to tell everybody, going to the practices and stuff, like we cover them and stuff like that. Don't let the cart scare you when they say they got carted off. They cart everybody. If you get, because carts are all over the place, because some of it was, I think Tyreek came down a little bit. And he knocked the wind out of himself and the cart came out. Everybody's like the cart and the media just, if you read Twitter, you're freaking out. Because it says Tyreek Hill carted off. He sat in the front seat and got carted to the sideline.
Like we've seen players get carted to to bathroom. It's not.
Yeah, so it's like during practice, they are, they're pampered a little bit. They got carts everywhere. So, but
this one,
already hurt.
That sucks. Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle for Dallas. That one started out to look real bad, and now it seems to be getting better. Like the more they look into it, it doesn't seem to be quite as bad for his knee injury. And then, of course, there's Kenny McIntosh, running back for the Seahawks, who also tore his ACL, is out for the season. So that sucks just for a lot of reasons. He's a really great kid. Okay.
Have we ever talked about Najee Harris?
What?
Didn't we talk about him 2 weeks ago?
Who?
What's up with Najee Harris? One. Yeah, maybe.
Didn't he have a fireworks injury to his eye or something?
Yeah, but it was nothing.
I know. Evil Harbaugh just keeps putting stuff out there about we're praying that he'll be fine for the season. And I'm like, dude.
I think he's fine. I thought I read he was fine.
Be banned from 4th of July festivities is all I'm saying.
Right.
All of them should.
Please correct us if we are wrong on that one, but I think he's going to be fine. So, all right. Lisa's going to love this. I want to talk about quarterbacks.
I'm already excited.
So it was very interesting when a couple days last week, all of a sudden, all these people were retiring that we all thought were already retired. So with Phillip Rivers retired last Tuesday, we talked about it like, oh yeah, we already thought he was gone. And then we had, because it's been 5 years, I think, since he's played. And then Jimmy Graham all of a sudden retired. We're like, okay, thought you were done. Anyway, the next day, I heard a very interesting conversation. And it was a conversation by 2 on-air radio personalities about Phillip Rivers. Now, if you guys remember from back in the day, you remember we've been doing this for like 14 to 15 seasons when he was still playing. I can't stand Phillip Rivers. I can't stand him, not just because he's a quarterback, because he's a whiner, and I don't like him. But
I love
I
him.
listen to I know you do. I know you love him.
Love him.
So I don't know. Kristen says he hasn't played in 2 seasons. Kristen, I'm pretty sure it's 7 or 10 now that I haven't seen.
He hasn't played in a minute.
Right. That's so true. But isn't it interesting to me? Well, it was interesting to me. The conversation was about Phillip Rivers in the Hall of Fame. Did Phillip Rivers deserve to be put into the Hall of Fame? So I want to go through a couple of things about Phillip Rivers first before we get into this. So he is an 8-time Pro Bowler. He's the 2013 Comeback Player of the Year. 63,440 passing yards, 6th all time, right? 5,277 completed passes, 7th of all time. 421 passing touchdowns, 6th of all time. 95.2 career passer rating, 16th of all time. 260 passing yards per game, 65% completion, 29 fourth quarter comebacks. He was very good at that. Multiple team captains. He was the 17 years in the league. I mean, all the things. Never made it to a Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl. So that is what a lot of this hinged on. So the conversation, and I'm dying to get everyone. So if you guys are watching, come over to YouTube, give me your thoughts. All of our fans in YouTube right now, please let me know what your thoughts are on this. The conversation between the two of them was he didn't deserve to be there because he didn't win or go to a Super Bowl. But if they let him in, it opens the floodgates for a ton of other players. So they were calling it the Phillip Rivers dilemma. If you let him in, that changes criteria for other people. If you don't, it makes it really hard to get in during the Tom Brady era. So that was the whole point, is that because of how well Tom played for 20 years, always was in the Super Bowl, no other AFC team could get in, like they were having all of these problems, it kind of jacked up the opportunities for some of these other really good quarterbacks. I had a real issue with it, but that's because I don't like quarterbacks. But I thought it was fascinating, the difference, because they completely disagreed. One guy said, yes, he absolutely deserves to get in. Look at these stats. The other guy said, great, if you're going to let him in, you got to let Joe Flacco in. You're going to have to guarantee Russell Wilson gets in. You're going to have to guarantee this guy gets in. Like, it was like a whole back and forth. So I'm dying to know what you guys think. All right, Lisa. Now, remember, there's 2 other people on here, so you can't talk for 20 minutes. But I want to know your thoughts on this.
Well, I mean, the can of worms of the Super Bowl has already been opened because you let Dan Marino in. So that to me has no relevance. It doesn't matter if you don't, because that Dan took that right off the table. So whoever that said that at the Super Bowl, you're already behind the 8 ball because Dan Marino went in. So the can of worms already got opened with him. I think the lackluster playoff wins will hurt him a little bit. The numbers aren't going to hurt him as far as his playing stats numbers. When you look at that, that's Hall of Fame credible for me.
It is.
It is by far. So, I mean, I think if I had any minuses, it'd be just the playoff wins, lack of playoff wins. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that Lamar Jackson at the end of his career won't be in the Hall of Fame. So
they brought him up too. Yep.
Exactly. So I personally, I loved his fire. I loved watching him play. I love quarterbacks with fire. I mean, he was a general out there. I mean, he reminded me of that old school quarterback of yelling at his receivers, and he didn't give a crap. I mean, if you ran around that, he was in your face. Just the heart of watching this guy play football. I loved him. You know, you and I have always had kind of conversations about him. I love the way he plays football. And I would only say the knock to me would be the playoff
wins.
Losses. Super Bowl doesn't mean anything to me. Like I said, that's irrelevant now. But with his stats, and when you look at the numbers, he absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. And that was where they threw Tom Brady in there. It's like, we can't hold Super Bowl wins necessarily over their heads when Tom Brady was winning them every single time. So they couldn't even get there, and that dominance of that team. But if you wiggle that back, does it change your criteria? It was a fascinating conversation. Kate, where do you sit on this?
I don't want to say that I don't care. What I find more interesting about the announcement of his retirement is that I just double checked. He has not played in a game since 2020.
Okay.
In order to be eligible for the Hall of Fame as a player, it is 5 years after you retire.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to go another 5 years. It will be 10 years since he's played a game. Tom Brady didn't retire until 22, 23 when he officially retired the final time. I think the timing is interesting to me. Is he trying to get in before Tom gets in? Is he trying to get in? Is he looking? Is his agent looking at the other quarterbacks that are going to be eligible when he is? And they're like, wait.
He's eligible next year.
Okay, now retire. No,
he's eligible in 2000. Yes, he is. I'm reading it right now. Yes, he is.
It says, according to the voting guidelines, 5 years
he will be
after
eligible
they've
for the
retired.
Hall of Fame in 2026.
See, that's what I thought was interesting too, because we all thought he had retired. But then he comes out with this announcement, which I thought was so strange.
The only restriction is that a player must have been retired for at least 5 years before he can be considered, and a coach has to be retired from pro football for only 1 season.
No, he filed his papers in 2020. He retired this time he wanted to retire a Charger. That's the only thing that he just did. He retired a Charger. He is
he already was retired.
It's when he filed this paperwork. So that's what what the thing is. So
2026 next year.
Then that's going to be interesting to see what happens between him and Eli, because they have that whole history, and Eli got rings. Eli didn't get enough.
Eli got rings.
Yeah, there are 50 voters for the Hall of Fame. 33 represent 2 from each city, 1 from each city that has a team. But like LA gets, because they have 2 teams, and New York has 2 teams. And then there are 17 what they call at large. Mary Kay Cabot's one of those, by the way. And so they get this list of people to look at, and they just vote yes or no. And you have to get 80% yes to be a finalist to get on the stage. That's why some years they only end up with 3, because there are so many. It's hard to get 80% of the people to agree yes. So that's why Eli didn't get in this year. But if Philip's up for it next year, the ones who made the finalist list this year automatically get the finalist list for next year. So Eli will automatically make it to the short list for next year, and then they can add more. That'll be interesting. But it depends on when he officially filed his retirement paperwork.
Yeah,
I assumed when he announced it this year that this is when he does it. So now my mind's spinning on, why now? What are you looking at? Are you looking at who your competition is for the Hall?
That's a really good way to looking at it, because there is such a backlog. We talk about that all the time, that there is a backlog of players who deserve to be in who aren't, especially at the senior level, which we're lucky they're letting them in. But the timing, that's very interesting that you say that. But we are going to start running into these players that need to get into the Hall, especially these quarterbacks from this era. And it'll be interesting to see how they start to rank them. Yeah. I was surprised that Eli Manning didn't get in this year, because he beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, right? And so that's a big deal. And he's a Manning. The Mannings get whatever they want.
More
and
rings
so it's
than Peyton.
Right. Thank you. Right. And so I find that really interesting, how that dynamic is going to play out over the next 5 to 10 years. I think it's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah.
So then you're going to run into that buzzsaw of Tom Brady stats. And then once that dies down, then you're going to have Mahomes. Like you have these like dynasty quarterbacks who are winning all the Super Bowls and knocking everybody else out of the way. And to Lisa's earlier point, if you got to go up against either Tom Brady or now Pat Mahomes, and you can't get by those 2 guys, then where's our other quarterback options going to be? So we're going to have to be.
And then you look at that.
Super Bowl.
What happens if Josh Allen never wins a Super Bowl? Oh, look, I forget that it does that when you put your thumb up. What happens with Lamar? Like you said, Lamar does it, so that's going to be some interesting steps. Let's get to some of these comments here really quick. So Steven says he would be a second ballot Hall of Fame if he got that ring. I agree too. I don't think he would have been even a first at that point. I think that's good. It's like, and then Big Red says Phillip Rivers was great, but is there a quarterback that should go before him? I say Eli Manning without question. Especially with all the drama they had during when they were drafted together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Kristen says Pro Bowl 8 times. I'm shocked at these stats, but no Super Bowl. Sorry, I was a little surprised reading the stats too. They were a lot more than I thought. And Lisa, Stephen wanted you to go for 20 minutes, but no, well, she'll get her quarterback.
I was good,
worry.
Stephen. I was trying to be good.
You were so good. Big Red says, are we measuring greatness by stats or rings? That's a dilemma. What is the criteria? And I think to your point, Kate, we don't know that there is a criteria. It's a yes or no question, right? That's so interesting.
I mean, I'm looking at the quarterbacks from 2020, which was the last season that Philip was in the, played. We'll ignore the guy with the most passing yards because he won't ever take another snap for my team. Followed by Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady. I don't think Matt Ryan, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, there are names on this list. Drew Brees, there are names on this list. Drew's not in yet, right? There are names on this list who not only have great stats, but who have won Super Bowls. Yeah. And so to Big Red's question of who may get in before Phillip, I mean, Russell's still playing. Aaron Rodgers is still, some of these guys are still playing. But for the ones who have stopped, it'll be an interesting group. I think we're going to see a rush of quarterbacks the next few years, trying to get them in before Brady gets in.
Get them out.
I absolutely think once Brady's there with his numbers, that becomes some kind of a benchmark. Unless the voters just go, we're just going to put Tom Brady over here and then compare everybody else to each other without him in that. You know what I mean? He's the kid that ruins the curve in school. He ruins the curve by getting all A's and 100%. So we're going to take him out and then we'll compare everybody else to each other.
Steven says on here, Eli and Peyton have the same rings. I don't think so. Doesn't Eli have 2?
Yes, he has one more than Peyton.
He does, because they wear them on Manningcast, and he makes a big deal about the fact that he has one more.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Eli has 2, but Peyton only got 1.
When Peyton had to go to Denver to get that, right?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I loved him in Indianapolis, but I get it. He had to go.
Right. So this is interesting from Big Red. Do we start putting players in after they pass? So many great players who have passed over as not get passed over as not great players. They did. We had just a couple years ago, the kicker. Oh, was it Ray? What was Ray's last name? Dang it. I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. I don't know this. I'm so sorry. But he had passed. Maybe it wasn't a kicker? Oh, dang it. I can't remember. I apologize.
Sebastian Janikowski still alive?
But he was still alive when he got in.
Ray was. That's right. I remembered his speech.
Randy Gratachar was there last year. Steve McMichael was not there. His wife presented for him. He has ALS, is it?
Yeah.
And so could not be there in future. And I don't mean to say he might as well already. I don't know how aware he was of everything that was going on. And that's one of the things about the senior committee. I wish they would let him have 2, because some of these guys, I would like them to know and to be able to stand up there and experience it. They don't get the adulation that today's athletes get. They didn't get any of that when they played. And to see them when they finally do get that recognition, and to see their families talk about, what it's been like for them, it gets me every time. And so, but we have done a number of them posthumously. I'm trying to find the last one that we did.
I was looking at why you were doing that, because you brought up Peyton Manning with Denver and that he had to go.
Yeah, let's correct it. Let's correct that, because Peyton did win in Indianapolis in 2007.
Was it in Indy?
He has 2. Mm-hmm. Yep, you're absolutely right. Thank you, Stephen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you look at that, that's, I was going to say that, because I think he did. I was like wondering, but when you look at the records and the stats between him and Rivers, man, they're close. I mean, the only thing, like you said, Marino went to one more Pro Bowl than he did.
Yep. It's going to be interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah. So let me see what else we got on here. Stephen also wanted to say Eli will have to wait because his resume was average. You know what? He beat Tom Brady. That makes him great to me. And then let's see. Big Red wants to know, should we get 1 ref a year inducted?
Hell no.
Unless, it's Hockley, maybe. That would be all right with me. Funny. All right. So I'm glad it's an interesting topic. And I think it's something that we're going to have to keep revisiting over the next couple of years. And that was why I was so intrigued. I'm like, I could not care less about Bilbergers. But it was an interesting conversation because it's going to keep coming up during this 20-year Tom Brady span, right? And so I think, and I'm not trying to put all this on Tom Brady's head. I mean, that's not his fault that he was so, I mean, good for him for being so good. But anyway, but it did change the way the rest of these players had to be viewed. And so I think that that's going to be really interesting. And to your point, Kate, it's going to be the same with Mahomes. That entire
I'd put Holmes in tomorrow.
team.
I'd put Holmes in tomorrow. Why even mess around? He's already done it. He can retire tomorrow, and he'll be a first-time eligible.
He can sure feel free to. I'd be fine if he would.
He's a first round. He's a first round, first time, first year. It's just give it to him the day after he retires because he
just like Brady. Yeah,
he's in. No doubt.
There was someone asked up further. I can't. Was it Big Red? Here was Big Red. Does Gronk get in at some point?
Oh God,
God, I hope so because that'll be the best speech ever.
Oh my God.
I just double checked. Art McNally got into the Hall of Fame in 2022. Is the only official that is in the Hall of Fame. Because I remember he's the father of modern officiating. I just remember a lot of the players making jokes that they only needed one official. They didn't need any more. Now that they had one, they had enough. Because when Ray Guy got in, he was like, now we have a full team. You've got a kicker and a place kicker, and, you needed one more. So now you have one at every position. And then when they got the official in, they're like, all right, then we just need one official as well.
We're good. We covered them all.
Yes.
Yeah, and the officials going to be hard too because now they got replay, so they're going to know every single call that they screwed up on, and it's not going to be like the old days where it's like they didn't have that, so it's like, oh, you were a pretty good guy. That dude probably missed more damn plays than most of them.
That's so fun. All right, everyone. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We are so excited football's on this week. We cannot wait to get rolling. And make sure you keep around or check our social media for Kate this weekend at the Hall of Fame. It'll be so good to get that information. We'll be back again next Tuesday. Same time, same place. Even though, like I said last week, our time slot is becoming very popular around the league, as Tuesdays usually are. But we thank you guys for hanging out with us and chatting with us.
That's
again.
Our spot.
That is it's been our spot for so long. So anyway,
8 o'clock is our turf.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks again, of course, to Donkeys for sponsoring us again for the 2025 season. We'll see you guys all next week. Goodbye, everybody.